Yeah, travel is like a must in the oil and gas industry. There's no way around it in Shell or ExxonMobil or Schlumberger or any oil and gas company that you can think about. Yeah, so for me, nothing from my college education transferred to my job
Okay,
because
nothing at all.
nothing. Yeah,
So we have Mr. Shrungi Sima with us. You are most welcome on our channel, Shrungi. Shrungi Sima is a petroleum engineer at Royal Dutch Shell. For the last 4 years, we'll discuss Sima's academic history, college life, placement, and future plans. In particular, we will discuss how to get selected in Royal. So let's start the discussion. Tell us about your academic background, Sima, your school, and your college.
thanks for having me. So I studied bachelor's of chemical engineering at BITS Pilani. After that, around 2 years later, I did a postgraduate diploma in data science and machine learning from IIIT Bangalore. That's my education.
Okay. How big your undergraduate college was the factor in your placement in Royal Dutch?
Yeah. So there are two kinds of hiring in Shell. So one is the graduate program, and the other one is the experienced professional hiring. For the graduate program, the college that you're in is very important because they recruit people only through campus hiring. There is no other way to join, and if you Shell doesn't come to your college, you cannot apply. But it's not everybody doesn't need to go through the graduate program because Shell is like a huge company and उसमें बहुत सारे jobs हैं. There's like IT jobs, data science jobs, finance jobs, anything you can imagine. There's a job in Shell. Consulting jobs भी है. So all these jobs are posted on LinkedIn and as well as the Shell website. So you can apply through there, and then it'll be like a normal recruitment process, with interviews and all of that. And your college is not that big a factor. Of course, it is there as part of your resume, but it's not going to be a blocker for you. Anybody can apply.
Okay, okay. So please define that process where experienced people get selected in Royal Dutch Shell.
Yeah. So in terms of recruitment process, either somebody can either refer you or you can apply online. Of course, referral is a little better. But
Hmm.
the way the process works is Shell as a company has a lot of focus on leadership skills and people skills. So that will be a big aspect of the interview process. So there will be stuff like psychometric tests where they evaluate whether your personality is good for the corporate culture because Shell is very corporate company. There'll be stuff like there'll be hypothetical scenarios where you will have they'll describe a situation and you will have maybe 3 4 options to choose from, and you're supposed to select one option and that should ideally align with Shell's values. So these kinds of things will be there in the interview.
Okay.
They will also ask you situations where you demonstrated certain leadership capabilities. For example, they might ask you, give me an example when you resolved a conflict between your team members. So these kind of questions
Okay.
you should definitely expect in a Shell recruitment process. So I had also given those. Apart from this, if you're joining as an external hire, you should definitely expect questions on your technical skills, your work experience, and all of that. And you should be able to describe the work that you've done in the past while emphasizing the business value that comes from this. So you and
Okay.
the material on Shell's culture and what they look for is available on the recruitment website. So if you
Okay.
want to like cook your answers for the recruitment process,
Hmm.
you should definitely see that website before you go there for the interview.
Okay. That's really important. I
Yeah,
was just gonna ask that question. Okay. So is there any other source that to applying they should refer to?
yeah. When I was applying, I found I just generally I googled interview process and what's happening, what goes into this, and I found like a lot of example questions on on these hiring
Hmm.
websites. Like I think Refer Hire. I don't know the exact website, but you will find some material, or you could always just contact someone on LinkedIn and who works in Shell and ask them what goes into the recruitment process. But if you have a good resume, Don't, of course, lie on the resume. Know what you've written thoroughly, and just go to the Shell website, look at what kind of people they're looking for. It's very, very clearly written. So keep those values in mind, and it should be good. And definitely, because Shell will ask these kind of questions like, give me an example when you did this, give me an example when you did that. Think about these experiences. It could be like, agar if it's an IT person, maybe if they served as a Scrum Master or something. So that kind of work is obviously leadership stuff, right? So they should try to think about those, experiences, or when they handle clients or these kind of things, they should revise their memory before going to the interview, because that will be more useful than the technical bits.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So, if it's possible, can you please define the exact recruitment process that you had to go through when you were in BITS?
Yeah. So, like I said, I went through the graduate program. So the graduate program recruitment process is quite long. So there were like around 9 to 10 rounds, which were spaced out over several weeks. So like the 9 rounds, you could sort of classify them, and each round, my people kept getting eliminated. And the last 4 or 5 rounds happened at the Shell office, which they call recruitment day. So it's one full day of intense rounds, day one after the other. So if you clear the preliminary rounds, you'll be most probably invited to one of the Shell locations, where along with an entire group of people, you will finish the rest of the stuff, and you might get selected or not. Right. So the rounds again can be classified into like psychometric, where they evaluate their personality. And then there'll be other rounds, like we already described, like what give me examples of this scenario where you did something, etc. So some of these will be like through a web portal, but others can also be like a phone to phone call based interview. So the interesting hiring rounds are in the recruitment day. So the first one is like a email based round, where you're sort of acting like a project manager. So you get like 30 minutes, and you get like 6-7 emails, a couple of report or something, and then you're supposed to digest all this information, write up like a progress update to your boss. So that simulates the kind of work environment that we have in Shell. So that's interesting. There's also like a technical case study, where you're given data about a field, and you're supposed to come up with an idea on how you should develop this field. There's no like technical knowledge required for this, or they basically just explore your reasoning and your thinking capabilities. And uske alawa, they'll be probably be followed out with like a HR round, where they ask you, check for your personality stuff, and something like that. So yeah, so apart from a few different bits, it's a normal recruitment process. And one tip that I would say is that you definitely think about questions to ask the interviewers, because that is expected of you to do. So definitely think of maybe 5 to 6 questions that you can ask the interviewers. Also, throughout the recruitment process, you will be interacting with different recruiters. So at least like 4 to 5 people. So don't reuse your questions. Like think of stuff for each person. Maybe it could be something as simple as, can you please tell me which locations you've worked on, or what was the best project that you did? Anything like that, right? It's just a little engaging, and you also get a good feel for what the work actually is.
Okay. So actually, I haven't heard from anyone about asking questions directly to interviewers.
Really?
So that is a plus point. I didn't know. I was not aware of this thing at all.
Okay, so, it's very much expected that you do that in Shell. Otherwise, it looks like you're not really interested in the job, right?
Okay, got it. So it seems the recruitment process is very, very intensive, right?
It is,
and
yes.
You have to be very smart for that. And what is the contribution of your academic performance in college?
Yeah, so academic performance is like only step one in the Shell recruitment process, where they shortlist your resume. So apart from that, it absolutely does not matter. I did not have very good grades in college. They were decent, but they were not really great. So like I said, it doesn't really matter as long as you don't have a really bad like score, grades. It's fine.
Okay, so it's like just a necessary condition, but definitely not a sufficient condition.
No. It's like one of the minor conditions.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, got
And
it.
you don't necessarily need to be smart in like an academic sense,
Hmm.
because the recruitment process is more geared around people skills.
Hmm.
So if you can, more than even thinking well, if you can
Hmm.
organize your thoughts and just present them, that's really the key to the process.
Okay, okay. So, what exactly do you do at Royal SL, and
Yeah.
what is your exact responsibility in the company?
Okay, so my role is a petroleum engineer. Uh, yeah, that's like the generic term. But
Hmm.
what a petroleum engineer does is he is supposed to work on developing oil and gas fields for
Hmm.
Shell.
Hmm.
So we obviously, the company has oil and gas fields across the globe. Some they operate themselves, some they are in a joint venture with. So what petroleum engineers, along with of course other people, is what we do is like we come up with a plan on how to produce the field. Or let's say, for example, where should we drill the wells? How big
Okay.
should the well be? What kind of infrastructure do I need on the surface? Is this oil corrosive or not? So these are the kind of things that we deal with. There could be other stuff also, like for example, if there's an already producing field, then there could be work like how can you improve the performance of this field, or maybe something is breaking down. So maintenance planning, data gathering, these kind of technical work we do. There's also a bunch of compliance and reporting work that is required because Shell is a publicly listed company in the New
Hmm.
York Stock
Right.
Exchange, and that comes with several mandatory requirements. So yeah, so the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is a governing body in the US, has several very strict rules for oil and gas companies. So a lot of work goes into compliance work for that. Um,
So the
Apart from that,
compliance work is related to finance or accounting, or what kind of compliance?
yeah, so it's actually financial compliance, but the input into the finances is the petroleum engineers' work, where they basically tell in the next 10 years, this field is going to produce X amount of barrels. So it's a forecast. And the
Okay.
economist basically converts the forecast into money, which
Okay.
goes onto the balance sheet and then gets reported out into the public, right?
Okay. 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 So you are the guy who tells the exact number of the crude oil or
Yeah.
the crude material. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, I mean it's an educated guess, but let's
Uh,
say yeah.
so do you use any kind of models or some kind of software for that predicting?
Yes, a lot. Yeah, we use a lot of technical software, which general audience might not know because they're specific to the petroleum industry.
Hmm.
Uh, a lot of them, at least in my day-to-day work, at least 8 to 9 different software I use for
Okay.
different aspects of the work. And
So
we also
in
use a lot of Excel and PowerPoint.
okay, so they are the most generic software that
Yeah, yeah.
all of us use. Okay, so you might have visited a number of oil fields during your stay at Shell. So just tell us about the number of oil fields or the frequency at which you need to go to a new oil field.
I've not actually been to a physical oil field yet, but I do travel a lot because I visit the different Shell offices across the world. Sometimes I go to the client offices as well. So I've been to like Kuwait, Malaysia, Netherlands, etc., where we can closely work with the actual boots on the ground in that location. So yeah, I mean like traveling is great, obviously, because you can go meet different kind of people and you can also get a small holiday out of it. But I think it also depends on where you are in your stage of life.
Hmm.
I'm still a bachelor, so for me it's great. But
Hmm. Hmm.
for people who are married and have kids, it's obviously a challenge. And yeah, travel is like a must in the oil and gas industry. There's no way around it. In Shell or ExxonMobil or Schlumberger or any oil and gas company that you can think about. So anybody who's considering a career in this industry really needs to be aware of that, because let's say maybe your children are going to school, yeah. So then you're not mobile anymore, right? So you might have to compromise. So maybe there's like a great project in Iran or something. Yeah, so you can go there maybe as a bachelor, but you can't go there with your family, right? So
Right.
these kind of things are real challenges that older people in the industry face.
So I understand your point, and as you have told us, you have been to Netherlands,
Yep,
then in Middle East, then Southeast Asia.
yep.
But it is very difficult for married people to go to all these locations very frequently, right?
It
So
is. Yeah.
does it limit their progression in a company?
Yes, it does. It is a compromise. Definitely, once you go into the senior, mid to senior roles,
Hmm.
if you're not ready to travel, you have to compromise on your career. Yep.
Okay, and
Yes.
same goes with the other companies also in the sector.
Yes. It's just the nature of the industry.
Okay, okay, okay. But
Again, yeah. Again, so this when I say this, I mean people who are in the core business of
hmm,
producing oil and gas, right? But if you're maybe in one of the functions like HR or IT or finance,
hmm,
maybe it's not that big a problem for you.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
But then you can't reach very high in the company that way also, because it's not the core business of the company.
Yeah,
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 maybe
right.
mid-level management is the maximum you can reach in one of the functions. But if you want to be like, let's say you want to become the VP or director in Shell, you have to be in the core business of producing crude oil.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. I understand. And now there is a question about the sector in which you are working. There are apprehensions about the future of oil and gas industry. So, what is your take on employment generation and retention in the sector? How
Yeah,
difficult is it not to lose one's job? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. That's a very good question. Again, something which I wish I knew before I joined, but it's a very real problem. Yeah, because I think the energy transition is inevitable,
hmm,
and maybe it will definitely take time. It's not going to happen now. I think we are talking about maybe 2 decades at least. uh, but these big oil companies, right, so they have a lot of resources. Yeah, so
hmm,
and the way, if you see their branding, they don't call themselves oil and gas companies, they call themselves
hmm,
energy companies.
hmm,
So in theory, these big oil and gas companies today will eventually transition into the energy business.
hmm,
And Shell has, for example, I know the other companies have also started, like Chevron, ExxonMobil, but Shell has also started this transition. So we now have a renewables department. There's also an energy trading department. There's a distribution department. So all these new core businesses are coming up.
hmm,
And for people like me who are oil and gas professionals, yes, it's
hmm,
it's a problem.
hmm,
So what I'm going to do in the future kind of depends on how I want to take my career path.
hmm.
So I can maybe 10 years down the line, I could probably move to the Middle East. Yeah, because
Okay.
if Middle East is going to stay on oil business for much longer,
Hmm.
more richer countries like Europe have already started moving away from like oil and
Hmm. Hmm.
gas. So don't, you can't expect to find a lot of jobs over there. Next, it will be developing
Right.
countries like India and the Southeast Asia, which have this transition. But
Hmm.
Middle East is gonna kind of be the last group to do this. So if you're
Yes.
prepared to do that, then happily, join as a petroleum engineer or become a geologist, and you'll be fine. But otherwise, you can choose to be adaptable and pick up additional skills like data science or finance or something, so that you can sort of branch out and
Hmm.
generally be more marketable. And for me personally, that's the route I want to take. But then, yeah, it's definitely a difficult industry to join right now. But again, if you want to be a part of the functions, then like all of this doesn't apply to you, because if you're like a consultant, it does not matter whether the Shell is an oil and gas company or a
Right.
solar
Right.
company, right? Same
Yes.
goes with contracting and procurement and all of this. So if you're interested in one of the functions, Shell is honestly a great company. There's a very good work culture. There's a big emphasis on work-life balance, and people care about each other. Managers care about you. So a lot of good things are there about Shell. So yeah, and the energy transition doesn't really apply.
Okay. Yeah. That's so one more point. You studied chemical engineering in your college,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, what is your suggestion to the students who are in currently in their second year or third year in college and they are studying chemical engineering? So, what should be their focus?
Yeah, for chemical engineers specifically, it's I think the oil and gas industry is still fine because chemical engineers generally go into the chemicals division of these oil and gas companies. I went into the petroleum engineering department, but normally that's not where they go. So chemical engineers normally go into departments like LNG or chemicals processing or lubricants, for example, right?
Refinery segment.
Refining, yeah, refining exactly. So these industries are still good, they're doing very well, and they will continue to do well in the future, right? Because petrochemicals will still be required, plastics will
Hmm.
still be required. It is whether whether the energy transition happens or not. So for
Yes.
chemical engineers, considering oil and gas companies as a career role is
Hmm.
still a good option.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, one more point. How much did your college education transfer to your job, or did you have to learn while working?
Yeah, so for me, nothing from my college education transferred to my job.
Okay,
Because
nothing at all.
nothing, yeah, because yeah, I mean, like I was a chemical engineer
Hmm.
and my work is completely different, right? So I learned pretty much everything on the job, but Shell also has a very good training program.
Hmm.
So that of course like helps, and that is the reason why they were willing to put chemical engineers into a non-chemical engineering role. So
Okay.
that covers it fine. But then I think but there's a lot of crossover or transfer from my data science diploma, if not my chemical engineering, because that is
Okay.
readily applicable in my work.
Okay. You did your data science diploma from Triple IT.
Yes,
Triple IT,
Bangalore.
Hyderabad, Bangalore. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And how much time did you spend for it?
So it was a 1 year program, which I did while I was working. So it's an online program.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, it took a lot of time, obviously, because I had to work and then come home and study. But then, yeah, it was doable, and the program is geared for working professionals. So it's a program
Okay.
that they
Okay.
offer in association with this company called Upgrad.
Okay. So it's kind of a work integrated learning program.
Yep,
Okay, okay, great. So it was very nice talking to you, Sima, and I think many aspiring chemical engineers would definitely benefit from what you have suggested, what you have told them. So if I come across new questions, I will
yep,
definitely contact you,
yep.
and I hope that you will help us again, like you have just uh, did today. So
Definitely, definitely. I'll be glad to.
okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anirudh.